Alright, so this is my old Intrepid. Alicia, she's destroyed it now. It's wear and tear. Most important thing, and the safety reasons in the shop today, is inner tie rod end bushing. Now this is the outer tie rod end, and it's a little sloppy, but well within safety margins. However, steering wheel's locked. This tire is rotating 3, 4, 5 degrees, and the inner tie rod end bushings are absolutely totally gone. And so this wheel, as you go down the road, is just, oscillating back and forth. The more longer term problem, but it hadn't come to a head yet, but since we gotta go into the car, might as well fix it. It's cheap enough. Is the passenger side half shaft. Now at first, if you turn it here and you look back on the inner CV, it doesn't look too bad. However, if I take the half shaft itself, you can see all that movement. That's why this thing clunks and chunks whenever you turn the wheel and make a tight turn. You get clunking and chunking inside that CV joint. So we got a new half shaft. It's about $70, maybe even less. And then the tie rod end bushing is like $15. Not that there's much to it other than a couple pieces of rubber and a couple nuts and bolts. But safety wise, you can see this is a big deal. So all we're going to do is going to take off this nut, this outer race that allows us to pull the half shaft out. We're going to replace this vertical link for the anti-sway bar, because when you hit a little bump with the right wheel, you hear a sharp bang, and that's one of these two end bushings. And because there's a lot of tension on it from the sway bar, you can't just go up there and feel it. You literally, if I go in there with a jack and lift it, once I get it out, I'm sure it'll have a lot of end play, and that's what that banging is from on this car. So that I could put it back and maybe we can save front end alignment charge. What I've done is take weld through paint and paint it over all the sides of the bottom of the strut and the knuckle, so that if we put it right back in the same spot, maybe, if the car doesn't pull, doesn't wander over the road, then we'll be fine. And thanks God for that suggestion. So we'll give that a try. The knuckle from the strut, so we can remove the half shaft. Important thing. Now, if you're removing and reinstalling with a new one, doesn't matter, but if you plan on reusing your half shaft, you must separate the inner knuckle here, or the inner yoke, from the end of the tail shaft from the transaxle first. Otherwise, what you can do is you can actually pull, look down here, you can pull this shaft out of these gears if this is not disconnected from the transaxle. The way you have to do it is this goes in this way. You got to get between this part and the transaxle. I ended up using a piece of L like this channel. I could not get any. I didn't have a regular standard crowbar. I think that probably would have worked, but I didn't have one. All I had was a flat bar. Couldn't get it in there. And you have to pop that off first. It's really hard, because at the end of the tail shaft there's a little C-clip. You see a little round thing in there, and that's holding this in. There's all the way on the inside, I don't know if you can see it, with that beyond the grooves is where it goes in, and that C-clip fits all the way down inside there and expands and keeps this yoke from coming off the end of the tail shaft. So you got to pop this off first if you're reusing the half shaft. If you're not, remove it from the knuckle, then get into it, because you got better access. Either way, it doesn't matter. Important, I have the service manual from the Chrysler Corporation. You do not ever reuse the C-clip, and there's a green O-ring that you probably see on the inside of that shaft that keeps dust and grime from coming in here and eating out these grooves. So what you got to do is you have to remove both of them. They should come in your kit. Here's the new half shaft here. And of course, this one of those $65, $70 specials, although it looks right, it's got the, you got to check, make sure you got the ABS ring gear on it, the right spline, and of course this standard knuckle here. But this is absolutely the right unit, but they did not give me a C-clip, nor did they give me an O-ring for the inside. So I am going to have to make a run into the parts store for that. Do not cheapskate yourself out for $4 or $5. You spent, you know, maybe an hour to take this off if you just did it and you knew what you were doing and you had the right tools. You know, I have a lift. You don't need a lift. You can do this on jack stands. You don't mind getting dirty. But don't reuse that C-clip, because if that baby comes off and you lose, you know, a lower ball joint, this thing's going to come apart like a disaster you won't ever freaking remember, or you don't want to remember. Same thing with the O-ring. That thing has been on this car for 140,000 miles. It's wore out. You know, it doesn't rotate with respect to the yoke. That yoke moves on top of that tail shaft. You have to replace both of them. So I'm going to have to make a quick run in. Unfortunately, it didn't get included in the kit as the service manual demands. Since I don't have C-clip pliers, because I don't know, I know I got them somewhere, I will use a very small pair of wire cutters, and I'll grab that baby and just expand it out, and I'll be fine. Either that, or you can use a O-ring pick, because you're going to need an O-ring pick anyway to get the O-ring off. I probably have an O-ring in my O-ring kit, so that'll save me, you know, 50 cents. You can get those at Lowe's or Home Depot in their custom kit. Same with the C-clip, but you know, don't go without it, otherwise you're going to regret it, and you will have wasted half a day working on your car. One correction is I was told that if I remove these two bolts, I'd have to redo the front alignment. Fortunately, this is not where the alignment is done. It's done on the inner side of the lower control arm, so we're saved that way. So we're in pretty good shape. So all I have to do is remove the vertical strut and replace it, and then once I got the O-ring and the clip on there, force it on, make sure it's all the way home, and that C-clip has expanded inside the new yoke, and we're all set, and everything's wonderful.